What's the best job for a lazy person? Back in college, I was a computer lab monitor. I just had to sit in the lab, and once every hour count the number of people there. If I was opening or closing the lab, there was about 15 minutes of work for that, but otherwise I could just surf the web or do my homework. I a backstage doorman at a Broadway theater. I sit around watching Netflix and Hulu and all that, sit all day. If I feeling ambitious, I'll read a book or write some stand-up material. It a pretty sweet gig and perfect for the laziest of people. I worked as a security guard for a trucking company on the weekends. The rest of the company conveniently didn't work weekends, so I had the whole place to myself. I worked 12-hour days and walked around a small wing of the property every hour and documented anything that was out of the ordinary. Almost nothing was ever out of the ordinary. Other than that, I didn't do anything. It was actually really boring because the guardhouse was outside of the Wi-Fi area, so I blew through my phone data really fast. To cure the boredom and ease my phone bill, I bought a portable DVD player and watched every DVD I had. I used to go to the factory where they make giant rotating machinery for power plant generators. It would take a week or more to machine these giant discs, and the machinist just sat there watching this giant, computer-operated machine do all the work. If an error popped up, the machine would stop, sound an alarm on the computer, and the machinist would pick up the phone and call an engineer to come fix it. Also, they didn't do any of the removal or setup. That was done by a team of engineers and transport folks. $30 per hour. I'm an analyst. I taught myself a bunch of stuff, and spent a bunch of time automating things because I'm too lazy to do them every day, week, month. The person that sit on a chair in the museum, they just sit there in one of the most quiet places I visit, and when a person stands too close to an artwork, they just cough a little and tell you to step back. Lifeguard at the Olympics. A guy on the surveying crew has the job of watching a surveying GPS unit all day. He gets dropped off with the unit, sets it up and sits there and makes sure it doesn't get stolen and that the blue light is still on. That's all he does every day, day after day. He thinks his job is the greatest thing ever. Find a remote data entry job and outsource it to someone who will do it for cheaper. Let them do your job and just collect the difference. A lot of IT-related office jobs at big companies involve a lot of downtime for one reason or another, where you're just sitting around waiting for work to come in. Just be careful what you wish for. I did a 6-month work placement at a place doing QC on medical data entry. It was as riveting as it sounds, and due to poor management there were massive stretches of time, like more than a solid week, where there was nothing for us to do. We were literally begging for work because we were so fucking bored. If someone had asked me to start hoovering the carpets, I would have jumped at the chance. Creative IT jobs like the video games and special effects industries are major exceptions. My job, I'm basically ignored by everyone and wasting all my day on Reddit. I'm starting to wonder how long it will last. Copy editor. You can pretty much work out of your own home and be a professional grammar Nazi. Pay is med, but it's really not bad once you build up a client base, since you can literally sit on your ass for hours if your grasp on the language is strong. Get an office job, figure out how to do it in a fraction of the time. Coast for a couple of years. When a coworker quits, tell your boss that you can add their responsibilities to yours instead of hiring a new person for a 40% raise. Figure out how to do that in a fraction of the time. Get all your work done every day, and also spend hours on Reddit. Bonus: literally nobody else knows how to do your job, so they'll think long and hard before downsizing you. It helps if you understand Excel, or whatever your office uses, more than anybody else in the company. I worked at a pool the summer after my senior year of high school. IWAS and a lifeguard. I just had to have the person show me their Navy card to get in the pool, and I had to check the pH levels of the pool at the end of every day. Only had to text my boss, could be on my phone the whole day, chilled with my then girlfriend, and ate food. Didn't even have to clock out for lunch and got an extra half an hour every day. The downside was working in the hot sun. You'd be under an umbrella, but the job could get boring. Edit: I should also add most of my friends were Navy kids whose mothers or fathers were working, so I would be able to chill with them all day too because it was their neighborhood. All in all, pretty good gig if you lazy. Edit 2. Also, one time me and my friends were there and there was a live skunk in the pool filter. He was trying to swim, so we took a pool net and gently pushed him into it and let him down in the grass outside. He was just laying on his back painting frantically, then he jumps up and runs in the woods. I have it on film on my old iPhone. financial aid officer at a college university. Those are indeed the slowest, laziest, and inept people there ever were. Sysadmin. I hate my life. I've automated 85% of my job. I'd be shocked if I worked more than 4 hours on an average week. It sounds great, but fact, it's boring sitting here surfing tomorrow's Reddit today. Programming for Microsoft products gives you a lot of time not working. If anyone catches me not working, I just say I'm waiting on the build since our main product takes about 4 hours to finish. It ain't a game tester. People think it's a fun and easy job, but tracking down the precise instant a bug happens under what conditions is a painstaking, tedious and time-consuming task. I worked as a security guard for a few years. Their policy was going around the perimeter of the plaza twice per shift. It took about 30 minutes each, and they don't care what you do for the rest of it. So really you're getting paid by simple scarecrowing around and scaring off potential beggars or hobos only an hour of your 8-hour shift. While at WASNT high pay, the expectations are so low that it sort of justified it. Not all security areas are the same. Hurricane debris cleanup crew safety monitor. This won't apply to you unless you live in a place where you are hit by hurricanes at least once a year and don't minding working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. I promise you that 10 of those 12 hours per day will be spent sitting there, doing nothing, playing games on your phone if the battery lasts long enough. I switched to crossword puzzles to try and save my battery. Keep in mind this job only exists immediately after a hurricane hits and then for about 4-5 months afterwards. Depending on the strength of the hurricane, you will get time and a half on the final 44 hours of the week. So you essentially get paid for the work of someone who has 2 decent entry-level jobs without actually performing anywhere near that amount of work. Automation design. Been doing it for 26 years and my laziness has advanced my career more than anything else. I hate doing anything twice, so if I have to do it once, I do it in a manner that the next time it's needed it handles itself. Cigarette testing. I couldn't imagine sitting at a table for 8 hours with a guy going full Hank Hill handing me rolled chemicals. I just quit my job because it was too boring for me. But it paid 70 grand a year and had full benefits, and I spent 7 out of 8 hours a day on Reddit. Do tech support for a medical device company that makes a good product. Truck driving, and not in a bad way. I drove a semi for a few years after the military, and it is by far the best job for low-energy introverts. You get paid to do nothing other than stare out a window and listen to music, podcasts, radio. You have to get out every now and then for work, but you won't be doing any back-breaking work and it won't be longer than 10-15 minutes at most. Best job if you like to be alone and not really have to do anything. Plus, it pays really well. Alert orders for military. Just chill in a bunker all weekend, and play video games and eat and work out. Then get a 5-day weekend. Get paid regardless because salary pay. I own a out-of-home phone repair business. I repair maybe 2-3 phones a day. Takes roughly about 30 minutes each. Then I either play games or relax in bed the rest of the day, and that keeps me going well. It depends on what kind of lazy you are. Work hard 1-2 decades and chill for the rest of your life lazy. Or wake up at 11 a.m. and go to work at 2 p.m. kind of lazy. Someone in my family works as an anesthesiologist and another as a neurophysiologist. Both work literally 10-15 hours a week for $150K to $25K a year. They worked hard through their education and got lucky at parts. But the payoff is being lazy/retirement capable by age 40 if you're willing to retire to a cheaper country, or 60 if you invest/save well and want to stay in the States. Alternatively, some of my laziest friends gamers, potheads work remote as software engineers/web engineers. This work is task-based and relatively independent depending what company you work for. And if you seek out projects for startups/small growing companies, you also get to try your luck at making it big with pieces of equity here and there. Software developer, because the lazy developer finds the easiest way of doing something. I worked as a personal shopper for a couple of years and it was the chillest and easiest job I have ever had. It was part of this app website, so I worked remotely from home, basically just googling things for people and trying to find the best price. I actually found it through Reddit in one of the job subreddits, and it was a small startup company that had only been around for a few months. I honestly don't know how it lasted as long as it did because we didn't charge for our services, and although we had partnerships with many companies and websites, Sometimes we ordered through eBay and Amazon since they would end up being the cheapest option. We also didn't have that huge of a customer base and most days were super slow. It was pretty nice for me. Got paid $16 per hour to basically just watch TV all day and wait to see if we had any requests, most of which wouldn't even take that long. They finally ended up closing last year, but it was an interesting run, and if anything, I am really good at finding deals for myself now when I want to buy something. Corporate job. They typically give you work they think will take a week. It does. You just slowly trotting through it in between useless meetings and Facebook. My job, I make the ballistic fiber that goes in bulletproof vests. I basically just watch movies and play on my phone all day long while the machine runs. As long as everything goes smoothly, I have around 5 minutes of work to do every hour and a half whenever the machine is ready to run new packages. And I'm on break half of the day too, because we do 1 hour on the floor, then swap out with our relay for an hour. So every other hour you're on break for an hour. And I have a 2-hour lunch. I make $30.23 an hour and all the overtime I want. Working at a visitor center along the interstate. My buddy works at one along I-15 and he just sits in a chair and points things out on a map to people all day. He basically is on one long break. He steps out back whenever no one is around and talks his e-pen. So basically he sits in an air-conditioned little room and tells people where cool spots are and fun things to do on their trip. Plus you get to meet all sorts of interesting and creepy people, all while being baked off his ass. I saw a post earlier about NASA paying $18K for 70 days laying in a bed.